Hello everybody and welcome back to a new video. I am Pat from Pat's Path Predictor, and we have a slight risk for much of the Great Plains and Midwest, so let's go ahead and dive right into this. Alright, so this is the situation we're dealing with right here. There is a slight risk from Minnesota down to Texas right now, including Wichita Falls, Fort Sill, Oklahoma City, Norman, Tulsa, Kansas City, just outside of Omaha, Des Moines, just outside of Minneapolis, if it's not in Minneapolis, Grand Forks, North Dakota, Fargo, Reardon, South Dakota. So that's what's going on right here. The tornado threat is concentrated in two areas. The first concentrated area is up in Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. The second concentrated area is from Iowa down to Texas, this thin area right here. The wind threat is basically this right here. That's the majority of the slight risk right here, from Minnesota all the way down to Texas. The hail threat is the biggest threat, as it encompasses the most area. Even though it's a 15% the same as wind, it's still the larger threat due to the amount of area it has right here. So yeah, this is the same thing as the slight risk right here. So that's basically what's going on. Let's go ahead and read the summary and the synopsis about this. There's a slight risk of severe thunderstorms from the upper Midwest to the lower Missouri Valley and Southern Plains. Summary. Lower scattered severe thunderstorms are possible, mainly this afternoon and evening from the upper Midwest to Oklahoma. This will include a risk for a few tornadoes, damaging winds, and large hail. Eastern Dakotas and central northwest Minnesota. Upper jet exit region, ample defluence will overspread the region ahead of the northeastward moving upper low over the Dakotas. A relatively warm, moist sector will precede the eastern Dakotas and northern Minnesota low, which will undergo some additional deepening before beginning to weaken and fill later tonight. Pronounced mid-level height uppers falls DCVA will aid in substantial mid-level cooling and support a broken arc of lower top convection from the southeast North Dakota to southeast South Dakota into west central northwest Minnesota beginning around midday or early afternoon. A few supercells can be expected, with a risk of short-lived tornadoes, large hail, and locally high damaging winds. Updrafts should quickly become elevated after they cross a sharp surface warm front in the northeast North Dakota and northern Minnesota, but may still pose a threat for isolated severe hail. Iowa, eastern Kansas, into northern and western Missouri. Although a few semi-discrete supercells could initially occur, clusters of storms should be prevalent across the region later this afternoon and evening. This will include the potential for severe hail, damaging winds, and possibly a couple of tornadoes, even with a mixed quasi-linear mode of storms. Oklahoma and western Texas and southeast Kansas. Relatively mild mid-level temperatures from -9 to -12 degrees Celsius, which for context is about 15 to 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit. I lost it for a second. And 11 plus degrees Celsius at 700 millibars, which is about 52 degrees. Exist atop a warm sector of these latitudes, which relates to temperoid mid-level lapse rates that exist. Regardless, the potential for hail-producing supercells will be compensated by large semi-straight mid to high-level portions of 50-plus knots at 500 millibars of the hydrograph, with deep layer shear vectors largely orthogonal to the initiating boundary. Excuse me, I'm having a bit of a hard time reading this. To the initiating boundary favorable for some discrete supercells. There will be some increase for low-level moisture, lower 60 degrees Fahrenheit surface dew point, which will contribute to upwards of about 1,500 joules per kilogram of CAPE at peak heating, which that's enough to create some severe thunderstorms right there. Once it gets over 2,000, that's when the big severe weather happens. So everyone needs to understand that, as well as the fact that the cap, as long as if that cap stays completely solid and it's too large, that cape can't be activated. But if that cap breaks, the amount of cape will depend on the amount of severe weather. So I want everyone to understand that going forward. Okay. At least some isolated, wildly scattered The storms in the area are expected to develop by late afternoon, early evening in the vicinity of a dry line in the Pacific front. Large hail is possible, along the potential for a couple of tornadoes and damaging winds. West central Texas, at least isolated severe storms may develop late this evening and or overnight, with potential for isolated severe hail and locally damaging winds. So that's basically the severe threat for today. For the threat for tomorrow, it's only a marginal risk, but it encompasses a huge area from Texas to Michigan. But I'll cover some more of this tomorrow, because But yeah, I want to pay attention to day 6, 7, and 8, where it says predictability too low, predictability too low, and predictability too low. Now I want to pay attention to this because because this is what this says in the discussion right here. By day 6, which is Thursday, deterministic and ensemble guidance indicates some increasing severe potential is possible across parts of the southern or central plains as weak perturbations eject east of the Rockies ahead of the developing western upper trough. Surfacely troughing will allow southerly low-level flow to transport Gulf moisture northward across the southern central plains east of a dry line. However, uncertainty remains high as westerly flow will not be very amplified and remains somewhat weak on Thursday. This may not have implications for overcoming capping along the dry line. Additionally, guidance varies over the timing and subtle shortwaves ejecting across the plains. Guidance suggests a stronger mid-upper shortwave trough will develop eastward into the plains by day 7, which is Friday. However, the timing and latitudinal differences remain quite large. While an increasing in severe potential appears plausible Thursday and Friday, too much uncertainty exists at this time to introduce unconditional probabilities. The reason I want to pay attention to this is because we could be seeing some severe threat on day 6, 7, and 8, and the reason, and that's why I'm covering this very quickly, because even though it says predictability too low, predictability too low, and predictability too low, we could see something like that, and I will keep you guys updated on that situation as it progresses. But with that being said, that is going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps me out and helps me make more videos like these. It also helps get the community more involved in weather. That at least is the goal. It also helps inform more of the public about the severe weather. So, and one last thing, I am working on a project. It should be out in the next few days, so I'm really excited for that. I'm not going to spell too much yet, but yeah, that anniversary review I did yesterday, let's just say we ramp it up a bit. But with that being said, have a wonderful day. Stay safe.